I've been trying to decide what to do with my shift linkage. I wanted to get some rear sets, but the good ones are really expensive. So I ended up getting some ones off of AliExpress, but I was having trouble fitting them just because of the positioning. I ended up getting some kind of rear set risers, also from AliExpress. So this might actually help to make things fit. So let's see how it's gonna work. First thing we gotta do is just take off basically the whole rear set here and the shift lever. So let's go do that. These are gonna be a number 6 right here. These are a number 5 right there. And this is also gonna be a number 6. And then you just kind of spin that one off at the end. Next, we're going to be working on my swing arm mount bracket. So this is the bracket that's right here. It attaches to the swing arm, and basically these 2 points are where you're going to set up your rear set. So this actually got bent with my lever, my pedal lever on this clutch side from the track day. So I'm going to replace this as well, just to straighten out these 2 points here to get that rear set, back into alignment here. So these are going to be 2 number 6s. You're going to have to remove in the rear sets. You're going to have to actually remove this case. This was a number 5. Then you got 2 10 bolts here. The 10 bolt down at the bottom here though is actually blocked by this. So you'll have to release this number 10 bolt here in order to take off the shifter assembly. If this is your first time doing it, you'll want to mark exactly where this is connected, so that way you can try to put it back in the same exact position. Basically, the idea behind this is one as close to 90 degrees as possible in order to get the smoothest shift. This one's a little trickier just because it has kind of this arm that's off at an angle, so getting the true 90 is a little tricky, but basically this is how it came from stock. So if you want something just kind of similar to that when you're riding it. Once you remove those 3 bolts, you can take off this cover, and I actually cleaned this out pretty well because you can get a lot of spray back from the chain lube, so that's exactly why the cover is there for. So I just cleaned it off and just kind of tidied up this area before. But yeah, this is the bracket here that we're gonna have to change off. There's actually 3 different bolts here. This is a 14, this is a 22, and this is gonna be a 12. So yeah, so you're gonna remove those and then just have to place those back on there. I apologize, I get a little bit ahead of myself, and so I started talking about those risers from AliExpress, those green ones, and then I kind of forgot to continue to make a video about those. But what ended up happening was that when I put them on, at least on this side, it made the rear set too far back, and so the grub screw here that I have attached to the Anatori quick shifter wasn't actually long enough, so I'd actually have to get a different setup if I were to use those. And so I figured, you know what, let me try without it, and actually it's working pretty well even without those risers. So that's what happened on this side. On the other side, I have a bolt on the bottom here attached to the bracket for my exhaust, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that. So once I saw that this was an issue with the grub screw, I was like, you know what, forget it, I don't really need that. And this ends up being a pretty good setup just like this. All right, so I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but yeah, so I went ahead and put the bracket on, just to kind of the same bolts in reverse, torqued down all the bolts to the appropriate level, and then I went ahead and put the other left side of the clutch rear set, clutch lever rear set on. This side is a little tricky. You want to make sure you set this up right, depending on your kit. Hopefully they'll have instructions. If you have questions, you end up getting this AliExpress one that looks like this. Hit me up and I can try to help you. You want to make sure that you line this up, nice and straight. You want to make sure you have some nice 90-degree angles here for your shift lever. I found that I actually had to switch it to GP shift in order to get this to work, but thankfully, I didn't have to do any other modifications just for that. And since this is a track bike, I figured, what the hell, GP shift is going to be better for it, and I'll just switch over and try to get used to that now. Yeah, so once you get that all set up, it's pretty simple. You just got your 2 number 6 bolts right back on there that you're going to throw on. You want to make sure if you're going to have your final setup, you want to get Loctite everything. But yeah, that's basically how it's going to be. So these are the bolts that you want to Loctite as well, other than the main and bolts there. So those are the rear sets. Get them all set up.